Hi, welcome to another Gay Christian Answers. We have been getting a lot of awesome questions and feedback from you guys from our last few videos, so thank you so much for that. We've got a lot more videos coming your way. So the feedback, wow, some of it is really positive. Some of you guys just love the videos and have great things to say and really deep, insightful questions. Some of it, not so positive. We get a lot of criticism, and some of the critics have some deep and insightful questions as well. So I thought, hey, this time why don't we answer a critical question? So this email is from Jason. It's actually pretty typical of a lot of the criticism we get. And here's what Jason has to say. He says, I just want to ask you one thing. How could you have possibly twisted the Bible into supporting a sin? I find it impossible to be gay and Christian. In Genesis, we read that God made man and woman to have an intimate, equal relationship. Therefore, this means that God did not create homosexuality to be holy and good. How could he? If he wanted to allow homosexuality, he would have made humans to reproduce and flourish in the act. So this also means that if you have a relationship with God and want to pursue him, then you would feel obligated and bad for being gay. Also, in the Bible, it speaks out against homosexuality in the passage of Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, Jason, you really got two, honestly, very good questions in here. One of them is, if God created men and women to be able to reproduce together, then isn't it really a sin to go against God's order for creation, to go against the way that things were designed to work? And the second question that's in here is about Sodom and Gomorrah. What do we do with that passage? So rather than answering them both in this video, let's focus on the first question for this video, and we'll talk about Sodom and Gomorrah next time. Now, before I get started, I do want to say one thing, Jason. I think that maybe you've not totally understood what it is that we're trying to do with this video series, or what it is that the Gay Christian Network, which produces these videos, really stands for. So first, I would encourage you to go back and watch our very first video. It's called Can You Be Gay and Christian? Now, you can do that by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/gaychristiannetwork. Look for the Gay Christian Answers playlist and click that video, Can You Be Gay and Christian? In that one, I talk about some of the differing views even among gay Christians. Not every gay Christian is having gay sex, for instance. Some would agree with you that they ought to be celibate. Others, of course, would disagree with you. But the issue is a little more complex than I think that you made it out to be here. So right off the bat, I want to agree with you. Yes, God made men and women to be able to reproduce. Absolutely. Now that doesn't mean, though, that every man and every woman has to get married, and that every man and every woman has to reproduce. Some people stay single. Paul the Apostle, for instance. Some people get married, but they never have kids, either by choice or because they're not able to have kids for some reason. And not everybody is attracted to the opposite sex, and that's not a choice either. If you're watching this video and you're listening to what I'm saying, that means your ears are functioning to enable you to hear me. Now, that's what God created them for. Right? We could all agree, just as men and women were created to be able to reproduce, ears were created so that you could hear. But some people are deaf. It doesn't matter why. Maybe they were born deaf. Maybe something happened to make them deaf. But for me to communicate with them, I would need to sign, or I would need to use subtitles. I kind of like that, actually. Now, imagine with me for a minute that you're deaf. It's a lot easier when you can hear me, isn't it? Would you ever choose to be deaf? I'm guessing you probably wouldn't, but some people are. It's the only life that they have. So they use what they can to communicate. They use their hands. Now, you might say, oh, well, that's not what your hands were designed for. Your hands weren't created for that. Your ears were created for that. Well, they don't get that choice. And hey, if it works, and if it enables someone to live a happy, healthy life, to be in relationship with people, isn't that a good thing? Would you really say it's a sin just because it's not how things were designed to work? There are a lot of things in this world that don't work the way they were designed to. We live in a fallen world, after all. But that doesn't make it someone's fault when they're different. And it doesn't make it a sin for them to try and find the best way of coping with that difference. Now, I happen to agree that biologically, men and women were created to be able to reproduce together. And I do have the physical ability to father a child. But the thing is, I don't have the ability to fall in love with a woman. And I think that for me to enter into a relationship just for the physical side of it would be really, really wrong. So the choice that I have then is I can live the rest of my life single and celibate and alone, or I can seek out someone that I can fall in love with and fall in love with that person. Because after all, we're told in Genesis that it's not good for a man to be alone. Now that's the choice that all gay people have, really. Now, there are plenty of reasons why somebody might choose celibacy. There are plenty of reasons why someone might believe that to have that kind of intimate same-sex relationship would be a sin. But I don't think that we should condemn anything just because it's different from how things normally work. Now, if you have another reason, something based on the Bible, for instance, okay. But just because, oh, well, that's not the way things normally work, just because that's not the way things were originally designed to work, no, that doesn't make sense to me. And I know for certain that we should never condemn anyone or make them feel bad about themselves or make them feel inferior just because they're different. So hey, if you're gay, your brain's wired a little differently from most people's. That does not make you a bad person. God still loves you just as much. And God still wants to use you. Now, you'll have to decide how you're going to live. Will it be in a relationship? Will it be celibacy? That's a decision you have to make, seeking God's will for your life. But no matter what, know that God loves you. Now, Sodom and Gomorrah, that we'll talk about next time.